My plan started in 2006. We have been nominated for the South African Manager of the Year for 4 consecutive years. My plan was placed third in 2018, first in 2019, and second in 2020 and 2021. My plan has also won Raging Bull Awards for its funds for 6 years in a row. Financial advisors don't pay a fee for using the tools in My Plan's toolbox. My plan has quite a few tools in the toolbox, one of them being the financial planning software. There are many tools available to financial planners these days. The main feature that sets My Plan apart is that it tells the advisor how to structure a client's investment based on the needs and objectives of a client. The second tool is My Plan's online client management software. This is called My Gateway. Other than being a manager of unit trust funds, My Plan also manages model portfolios. Some models are available to all financial planners, while My Plan also manages bespoke model portfolios for the exclusive use of various brokerages. My Gateway is the primary portal for information pertaining to model portfolios. A useful feature of My Gateway is that it is a protected site to store clients' FICA information. You can download a list of all clients to check that everything is up to date. This is very useful from a compliance point of view. All information regarding model portfolios is available in the Documents tab. So there are 3 model portfolio ranges that are available to all financial planners. They are the Inflation Plus model portfolios, the low-cost model portfolios, and the offshore dollar global model portfolios. So for each of those portfolio ranges, there's information such as previous investment committee meeting reports, monthly fact sheets, brochures, and so on. The third tool is My Plan's mobile app, which is called the My Investment Planner. This is an app that someone will install on their cell phone. They will complete their details and include what their financial goal is. This information is then sent to a financial planner who will analyze the information and make recommendations on how to achieve the objective. So going back to the financial planning software, I'm going to do a few examples to illustrate what My Plan does in terms of optimizing a client's investment based on their needs and their personal circumstances. What I've got here is an extract from the software where a client has a living annuity of 5.3 million and they're drawing an income of 200,000 per annum. From a visual point of view, My Plan creates graphs which contain certain information. The various colors in this graph represents the different categories into which the capital is going to be divided into. The pink area at the top of the graph represents the amount of capital that's going to be going into the cash category. This is just the name of the category. In that category are various options to choose from, like money market funds and income funds. The light gray area at the bottom of the graph represents the amount that's going to be going into the long-term growth category. Since the income is a small percentage of the capital, only a small amount of capital will be going into the cash category. As a result, there is a relatively high percentage of capital which will be going into the long-term growth category due to how long the investment is going to last. In fact, in this case, there's still going to be approximately 2 million in capital at the age of 100. In the tables that My Plan generates, you can see the values and percentages that have been allocated to the different categories. The category names are cash, inflation plus 3, inflation plus 5, inflation plus 7, and long-term growth. So these categories were designed to match the time required to achieve a real return objective. For example, in order to achieve a return of inflation plus 7%, a minimum of 7 years is required. In this case, where the client is drawing an annual income of 200,000, My Plan has allocated 6.07% into the cash category and 64% into the long-term growth category. you'll see that withdrawing an income of only 200,000 meant that the capital was lasting far longer than what was necessary. So let's see what happens if you increase the income to 240,000 per annum. There is actually a calculator function in MyPlan that allows you to solve for certain things like what contributions are required for a chosen income to last up until a certain age, or based on the capital accumulated, what income can a client afford to draw for the capital to last up until a particular age. It's a useful feature in that it's not necessary to go through a process of trial and error. So withdrawing an annual income of 240,000, you can see how the amount of capital which has gone into the pink section, the cash category, has increased marginally, and the amount of capital going into the light gray section, the long-term growth category, has decreased. So in the table, you can see that now we've got 7.3% when we're drawing an income of 240,000, whereas we previously had 6.07%. And we've got 57% in the long-term growth category, whereas previously we had 64%. I'm pleased to say that the process and philosophy that MyPlan is based on is in line with what was discussed in a paper that was published by the FPI and FIA in 2021. It's a long document, 51 pages, but it's worth a read. The focus of the paper was regarding how financial planners do risk profiling when giving advice, giving investment advice. There were 12 authors, some being well-known faces in the financial planning industry. The paper goes into a lot of detail, but the overall theme is that the traditional definitions of client risk profiles are obsolete. The work group agreed that the traditional definitions of a client's risk profile is abstract, vague, and subjective. They simply mean different things to different people. So classifying as an investor as conservative, moderate, or aggressive is obsolete. Establishing a client's needs is a requirement in terms of phase, so it's important that the advice is based on what the client's needs are, not the results of a risk profile questionnaire. The most important thing that I took from the paper is that it's possible for an investor to have more than one risk profile. And I'm again pleased to say that MyPlan agrees. From the examples I illustrated, MyPlan divided the client's investments into more than one risk category based on the term and the income requirements. This is a table, it's an extract from the paper. The original source was from Morningstar. It shows how the investment term needs to increase as the targeted return in a category increases. For example, if you are looking to target inflation plus 2%, the minimum term there is 3 years, and that's due to best returns over any 12 months, worst returns, and so on. These tables are extracts from MyPlan. The top one practically mirrors that in the paper. For example, to target or achieve inflation plus 3%, you need to give yourself a minimum term of 2 to 3 years. The bottom table is an illustration of how MyPlan is going to be taking the capital and dividing it into those different categories. This is an extract from a slide that I took from a presentation, a workshop that Matthew Lester did in 2016, where he was illustrating how an investment should be divided into sub-portfolios based on the investment term. The paper says that an advisor can use any preferred fund or portfolio as a solution, provided that the portfolio solution can be matched back to the appropriate ASISA category for the real return required. So advisors can choose from a list of funds in MyPlan in each category, as well as model portfolios or a combination. The great thing about the model portfolios is that they have been designed in a way that the targeted return is matched with the term required, and they fit into their respective ASISA categories. So this, as well as the fact that they are actively managed, gives advisors peace of mind, since it's not necessary for advisors to determine how much needs to go into each category, nor the funds to choose in each of the different categories. So over here, I've got an example of the constituent funds in the low-cost model portfolio. Yeah, in cases where financial advisors or brokerages want to be more involved, there's also the possibility of them having their own personalized model portfolios. Other than containing the details of the recommendation and advice that it's been given to the client, the illustration report contains information such as product disclosures that are required in a record of advice. Arguably, the most useful feature of the MyPlan software is the review wizard and the review reports which are generated. On an annual basis, the software will give a reminder that a review for a client is coming up. The review wizard then guides the financial planner through a series of screens, which ultimately results in a recommendation as to how to rebalance an investment if necessary, so that the investment is always optimized. All of the reports in MyPlan are available in English and in Afrikaans. So in summary, MyPlan is an all-in-one solution for financial planners and brokerages of any size. The various tools reduces the compliance burden dramatically.